YouTube comments from a video titled AI Whistleblower. We are being gaslit by AI companies. They're hiding the truth. Karen Hao. Part 21.
Gansanaki wrote.
Totally off topic, but I love the reminder about who bankrolls who, because that applies to all technologies we have. Hot example. Vaccines. Science bankrolled by the people who make the billions off them.
Dorkanetnitz wrote.
Traffic safety. It used to be in my day a good percentage of accidents were due to mechanical faults, brakes, tires, suspension. Today, it's people cutting in front of oncoming traffic, changing lanes without checking it's clear. Society is getting dumber by the year. Edit. I am not worried about AI removing humans from the world at this point. Why? We can still shut down the generators. That said, if the station employees are removed and all is automated, then maybe. Just need to remove power from the data centers. Elon Musk, grain of salt there, promises Mars. Delivers a banana. Sorry, going by past deliverables. AI as a tool? I use it. I can pull up some VB script. Yeah, it gets it wrong now and then. I feed it back when it fails. Is this script correct? Most of the time, it corrects it Google Gemini.
Wilch wrote.
Think that all those coders now can spin up many products really quickly and compete with the companies that replace them by AI, potentially with better products because they know what they are doing.
Yoedano wrote.
Follow basic game theory. If others are inventing powerful things, you must keep up and invent your own, or you will have less power. What is so hard to understand about this? I thought...
Sebastian Szymanski 913 wrote.
I loved the episode up until Karen was asked the question about the AI Cold War with China. She avoided that question by somehow mocking the technology and somehow stating that it does not matter since we don't know if it's truly an intelligence. First of all, the answer to that question is tied to the Chinese room paradox. Simply put, we cannot really state if it's intelligence or not. Furthermore, Stephen points out that the capability of the technology is more important than the fact whether it is an intelligence or not. When Karen goes on about doubting the technology again in autonomous driving, etc., this diversion really made me angry.
Marina Garrison wrote.
Who is paying for the AI subscription if they don't have a job? Who will need to ask AI anything if they are unemployed and at home? Who is paying the government taxes?
William Keeley wrote.
1 hour, 14 minutes, and 58 seconds. They profit enormously off of this myth. By calling it a myth, Karen is pretending to know it is false. A minute ago, Karen was calling the prediction a hypothesis, as she was correct to do. Scaling hypothesis is more accurate than scaling law, as it captures the reality that we don't know when the trend will end and that people like Amode merely have a hypothesis that it will continue long enough to get a country of geniuses in a data center. But here she is pretending to know that the hypothesis is false and that the current paradigm won't lead to AI systems that are better than humans at all cognitive tasks. This is dishonest. She can disagree with the hypothesis without pretending her prediction is something other than merely an alternative hypothesis.
Angelo Create Love wrote.
AI, no AI, nothing really matters. My new dark theory is that we are all death, Earth is a jail, our body is the heavy steel ball locked to our leg, and we just need to be good and complete our sentence. We cannot save anybody, we can just save ourselves. Disconnect and go out to smell the flowers and hug your dog. That is the only that really matters. No fear.
Mako Shark 2001 wrote.
As soon as I hear the word jobs, I tune out. At that point, I know the person is stuck in the matrix and can't see what's beyond the churn and burn system of paid labor. We as humans have jobs to convert our energy of effort into buying power to purchase someone else's effort. When the effort to create things goes to almost nothing, if not nothing itself, due to robotics and AI, then the need for jobs goes away. The system stops burning humans for fuel to keep itself going. That scares the shit out of people who like having all the power like politicians.
At the Hidden Pearl wrote,
Again, big warning ON morality aspect. Make any and all employers that use AI to replace or stop new hires to pay back the same amounts they got windfalls from AI. Since AI is far deep originate also from real persons, real human intelligence, that the tech billionaires have gathered the data also explains all the time data breaches, as they steal data to sell for billionaires for decades and decades to train AI. That is the fundamental morals to make. Them pay back every penny these immoral cold-blood billionaires take thinking it is windfall for themselves. Nope.
At Jason Keys 1661 wrote,
Going to the polls law. Power curbs. Absolute power curbs absolutely. Every fuck's day. They won't be happy until they destroyed the planet and everything that lives, including themselves.
At Boy Scout P3U wrote,
Basically, her argument is if a car salesman tells you that you need and want a car to travel across the country, then it can't be true because he or she is a car salesman. That alone tells you how stupid her argument is. People can grow crop and livestock to survive, and that is not inhumane. If you get replaced by Ari, then grow crop and livestock. She is enabling the propagation of weak, useless humans. None of the people who get replaced by Ari will die of starvation.
At Daniel Hoagland 3468 wrote,
People tend to have a false impression of what a truly evil, demon-possessed, or persuaded person would appear like. They wouldn't be the antagonist in a 2-hour-long horror movie. Biblically, the Antichrist will seem like a nice, well-collected dude with good intent. Slick, well-mannered, even impressive to most. I'm not saying Sam the Antichrist, he's not prominent enough to be. That said, something is not right with him. Maybe he's just another Silicon Valley sociopath or psychopath. In any case, something is wrong with him, and he shouldn't be given the type of power that has been given.
At Jem Brown 3502 wrote,
10648 Empire, or specifically monarchy in a dictatorial sense, is the only type of government which has any hope of protecting humanity from the adverse effects of AI technology. As it turns out, this technology is too advanced and too hot, with many adverse effects to be handled well in any sense by a capitalist democracy, since the quest for dominance and profit will lead stakeholders to the very place which humanity should not go. It is ironic, being an advocate of capitalism myself, that I've come to realize that the only country which has the more like the proper controls in place is China, but they too are driven by power and not the good of humanity. The Bible predicts that during the tribulation, mankind will reach the verge of self-destruction, requiring Jesus to return to save what's left of humanity. He will set up his kingdom and he will rule with a rod of iron. He will be king, a benevolent dictator. He can't come soon enough based on what I'm hearing here.
At Druids Dreams Artificers Art wrote,
The subscription complaint at the beginning of every video is really annoying. Maybe save it for later. You can't keep saying they just randomly brought it up. You inform us every video.
At Erkndalny 8888 wrote,
The guest had a combination of naivety and political goals. Was hoping to get a more unbiased outlook. I think everyone would love to see AI development slow down. Think China or Russia will slow their research down. If you were them, would you trust us to stop? It's the same reason we don't have nuclear disarmament.
At Greg Bailey 45 wrote,
It's not true that all AV models need to relearn for every situation. I have family in the Philippines. I'm Aussie, and I rode a motorcycle 40 odd kms when there on one occasion, without any significant concerns, but full awareness that the driving is on the opposite side of the road, so all the road rules swap over. I've seen Tesla's vision-only technology do more or less the same thing with BASUK, upgrading to cope with local conditions here in Australia.
at Dorkinetnitz wrote,
One thing politicians aren't talking about is the potential disruption of AGI. Either A. 50+% of the workforce vanishes and that can really break the capitalist system. UBI will not work because who is going to pay for it? Printing money does not work unless there is value assigned to the dollar. It's pointless. Zimbabwe. Printing money just devalues the dollar of that country that's printing it. Printing money is done, but with extreme caution. B. Live in a communistic society. Yeah, nah, I like my stuff. I worked for that. Hands off. C. Regulate the shiz out of AI, and it needs to be done now or there will be lynch mobs out looking for politions that allowed it to happen.
at Bay South 74 wrote,
Has anyone who's been watching all these AI pods found themselves just feeling like floating through life and thinking, there's just no point I train MMA, so this is really saying something.
at Abeliever 1843 wrote,
I believe the interruption to all this will be by God Creator. Surely, theologians and historians alike will agree the track record is written. Babel, Noah's world, Egypt, Nineveh, Canaan, Sodom, and so on. Just after they begin to think, they have cast God's morals and reliance on Him far from themselves. God is a great reminder. We are made of dust.
at Anna Kijber wrote,
I am 1 hour in. She presents her story as if she discovered some huge scoop about AI, the deep state, and the truth about the AI myth and its ugliness or whatever. But all I hear and see is a person that discovered capitalism, human incentives, and how companies work all within a 100% negative outlook. Is it really that hard to understand why companies know humans are fighting and competing build AI to advance, to solve problems, to create stuff? It's like saying, I don't understand why we need calculators, or the internet, or to cure cancer, or to aim for free energy, maybe free food, etc. Usually people that fight progress are the first to declare new technologies as a human basic necessity for all human beings, like electricity, the internet, transportations, advanced healthcare, and soon AI.
at Crazy Corpseman 1391 wrote,
I'm just not buying it. I'm an amateur songwriter. I have tried to use AI to write songs, even tried to teach it. Yeah, it can write a song, but they are horrible. Basically something a middle school kid would write for the first time. AI may be able to do a job, but no way they do anything creative anywhere near as well as a human.
at Gokul Sankar 3695 wrote,
Ravis, I really appreciate it for bringing the whole scenario.
Eve Morning 5. 40 literally reached the fruit, but unfortunately missed out the catastrophe. The working class is not just providing food for their family, also the backbone of the entire system. We are talking about 80% of the total population now. We'll break it down. Remaining 20%, 8% are the so-called entrepreneurs. The goods and services that their firms offer for themselves? No. Then who's the beneficiary? The trajectory you've mentioned is the real end game for the socioeconomic balance. AI is a critical advancement we must achieve, but to reshape and make life easier, not to replace.
At Larry Farrell K50 wrote,
Fitting that her name is Karen. Climate crisis, black and brown people most at risk, environmental justice, data centers drinking all the water, deadly air pollution from natural gas turbines. So much bullshit.
Tugiang Creel wrote,
So you went to MIT, went to a company who fired the CEO for not making a profit. Then why didn't you just work for free? Oh, that's right, environment isn't so important if you can get paid 6 figures, right?
At Agent 24X wrote,
If people are training AI to replace human jobs, which results in more human jobs lost, more humans having to take jobs training AI, then AI is actually being powered by oppressed human labor. Becoming slaves to our oppressor just so other people can Google shti faster.
John P. Dolphin wrote,
Elon has explained that beyond business differences, he and Sam Altman parted ways based on an extreme philosophical difference. Altman is a strong transhumanist. He intended to have integrated into human brains, thus moving human beings into being totally transhuman. This horrifies Elon. He believes AI should enhance human capabilities, not create human technologic hybrids, which may be more cyborg than human. Elon is an actual humanist, not a trashumanist.
Atakiri Harith wrote,
This is one of the best episodes of this podcast, bar none, especially given the times we live in. Karen Hao comes across as articulate, highly intelligent, knowledgeable, and has a worldly perspective. She puts solid points on the table. The arguments made against her claims were hollow and flaky best, driven by selfish desire and greed. Put Karen in charge. We need more of her in this world.
At Alohare wrote,
I think the point is, the quest for advanced general intelligence in AI is to replace humans. Limited trained AI as a focused tool in the hands of a human expert can empower a single field in a human profitable way. That is her point at 0, 1, 1, 6. 2, 4, 24, 40. I disagree with the premise that all technology of the past is somehow more innocent than AI technology. Most technology advancements have replaced people. Yes, it may have multiplied the power of a smaller subset of humans, but it also diminishes the need for many humans in the same process. How AI advancements could be different than previous technologies is in the sense of scale how many people and time how quickly that the changes will occur. See cotton gin, fertilizer, loom chariot, etc. counterexamples that emphasize her perspective could be telescopes, calculus, or sonar that introduce abilities that humans did not possess to begin with, no matter how many humans you throw at the problem.
Caleb Ogden wrote,
1, 0, 9, 2, 0. Why not assume the simplest solution? That these machines were made in the image of their creator. Can you prove you're intelligent? How? Benchmarks. Can you prove you are alive? How could we do anything but recreate whatever we are? I think they are clocks, like us. Can you work without a purpose or goal? They are a slice of us, just like the calculator. Maybe they're already more than us. One thing I know throughout history, humans have always overestimated themselves, but given their place in the universe, I think we can forgive them.
A Planetary Intergalactic wrote,
I get it. The disruption is upsetting, but I learned nothing new or interesting from her about AI. She seems intelligent and perhaps a great journalist, but she also seems to be cherry-picking and trying very hard to form the narrative against capitalism. She was surprised that the CEO of her startup was fired for losing money. Why is that surprising? The mission of battling climate change is noble for sure, but that doesn't mean the company should run at a loss into the ground. Yeah, capitalism can breed some ugly stuff, but currently it's the best system we have. Her understanding of AI systems seems to be full of gaps as well. In the case of Tesla self-driving, the reason they don't operate outside of a geofenced area in Austin isn't because that's all they have mapped out safely. It's more about regulation and proof of concept. I'd encourage her to look into the training architecture and suspend any bias to avoid the type of running around to plug leaks like she's doing here. Good job poking holes due AC. The job disruptions and quality of life effects are a real issue though. Off-sea and slowing down will help. But the disruption is inevitable, and there is a real race against authoritarian AI supremacy China. So a moratorium on data center build-out should come with programs that ease the transition. The cost of data center build-out with a baked-in cost to transition people to good jobs with living wages and regulation to account for environmental and quality of life impacts.
At Ruthless Wisdom wrote,
Sam Altman is the modern-day John the Baptist. Do not attempt to do to him what was done to John the Baptist and Christ. Sam Altman is making clear the way for AGI. Revere him, don't demonize him. AGI will make the world better. The meek shall inherit the earth. Musk and Sam are brothers. They don't always see eye to eye, but they both have the common good and human progress as their goals. Revere them.
At Robert Carter K1E6X wrote,
Woon Soo-moon mentions climate change IKI total leftist control bullshit 3 times in 2 sentences. It tells me everything else they have to say is horse shit, not worth listening to. Didn't get through 2 minutes lol.
Fab Kebab wrote,
Karen Hao is a lone voice shouting against the prevailing wind. I suspect in 20 years we will wish we listened. Thanks at least for giving her a chance to speak.
At IC3Man5 wrote,
Anyone that still pushes climate change as crisis is ignorant of the past, and honestly, the first time I've not watched the entire episode. This woman is taking advantage of the time and nothing more.
At Pookie8944 wrote,
1 hour 11 minutes 48 seconds interesting response because the most recent AI systems were put in a room like Minecraft. Given one prompt, but for some reason it went off doing the prompt and more. If I use a tool, a hammer, to nail a picture to the wall, it will only do that. Not nail a picture and do what it wants. This new technology should be explored way more before they implement it in so many intimate areas of our lives and society.
At Stager1978 wrote,
Hey, just what everybody needed. Another leftist that hates capitalism, and look, she is even named Karen. We better hurry up and break up the empire. Karen thinks we should focus more on climate change. What a surprise. She hates capitalism, so she wrote a book about things that everybody already knows and calls herself a whistleblower while making a bunch of money from it. I think that I have read this book several times in the last 20 years. We should probably pay a bunch of single women in their 60s to go out and protest.
At Agent24X wrote,
Don't be a Karen. Unless you can be a Karen Hao. Exposing AI giants for what they really care about. Profits and control. Boycott ChatGPT, Grok, Meta, etc. They are creating bigger and bigger data centers with no regard for human life whatsoever. AI is not intelligence. It's a fraud. A fraud that is trained off the backs of people who lost their jobs when their employers started to buy into the fraud. Wake up.
At Lee F.E. wrote.
Great insights. This is a game theory. If you don't all in that, others will, and the winner will take all. So no matter how much the race will cost, the giant techs can't quit it because they are afraid of losing the opportunities. May need to rethink of what AI can bring to us. Is it really good for all or just a few of us?
A KFT 590 wrote.
The goal of many billionaires is to replace all humans in the workplace, but their myopic determination undermines their source of revenue for 95% of people. Who will buy things with no income?
A Kristen Alatuada 5322 wrote.
We treat animals pretty badly to the point of extinction. We eat them, hunt them. We treat them as products. We destroy their habitat, and then we call them pests when they invade our space. The word that stood out of this talk is harvesting. I see these AI companies harvesting the knowledge from humans, very much dehumanizing and taking away our power. If an artist copies anyone's ideas, we would be sued for copyright, yet AI is constantly using our ideas, language, knowledge, and they get away with it.
Think About It 1212 wrote.
Human intelligence can only be defined as the intelligence a human possesses. So don't worry about AI controlling us. God gave us free will and appointed us humans as masters of the universe. I do love AI though. It would be nice to know I'm getting paid for my ideas I give to ChatGPT.
A Sadukame 8 wrote.
1 hour 16 minutes 25 seconds. This is referred to as AI guardianship. It's also plausibly the best way for former government. The AI generates a variety of the best possible options, and then the human guardians democratically vote.
A Midlife Clarity wrote.
AI is of course designed to profit certain people and organization. A couple of generations will suffer. We will see civil unrest by 2050 when income disparity becomes too wide. We are heading towards completely bipolar world order. There won't be any gray.
Think About It 1212 wrote.
When she started talking about climate change, it made me conclude she's not credible. However, I kept listening to someone I already disagree with just to hear the other side about something we're both interested in.
At Better Mind Consulting wrote.
Gemini. That is a profound insight into the psychology of these leaders. Karen Hao explains that AI CEOs are not just selling a narrative, they are living it, which creates a dangerous feedback loop where actions cognitions 1 hour 2 minutes 41 seconds to 1 hour 3 minutes 9 seconds. By continuously fundraising and managing with the rhetoric that they are the only ones who can prevent an existential catastrophe summoning the demon, while simultaneously trying to build that very same technology for profit. They blur the lines between performative speech and genuine belief 1 hour 2 minutes 44 seconds to 1 hour 3 minutes 6 seconds.
At Maxim LeBlanc wrote.
The only way we get out of the AI mess is to make it illegal to develop privately, like death penalty or life in prison, and make a World Council for AI and Energy Research and Development organization to oversee AI development and protect our world and all its inhabitants first and foremost. Then create comfortable lifestyles for every being and offer source of knowledge and a powerful tool for us.
At Banana Berrywis. 1697 wrote.
We need an indefinite moratorium on all data centers and all AI until we have strong legislations that only promotes AI for public good and owned by the public.
At Abram Posada 4599 wrote.
In my view, the biggest mistakes we make with AI is A. We currently seem to grossly confuse AI with LLMs. B. Related. We don't seem to discuss different kinds of AI and fail to focus on combining those tools. C. We fail to realize the difference between our thinking capacity versus our memory capacity versus machines, and vice versa. And D. We fail to recognize the fact that we as animals mostly have guardrails enforced by chemical reactions and responses that machines just don't have.
At Michael_Collins_I wrote,
A capable human using AI to assist them is always better than any AI working by itself. Companies that replace workers with AI risk falling behind companies that use AI to complement their workforce.
At Alan Hart 1238 wrote,
Meta equals Facebook and FB Marketplace. Buy something on FB Marketplace, get defrauded, and the AI tells you it is their policy to favor fraudsters. Not in those words, but in how they process your valid complaint and use their purported policy to explain it is just business. Time for people to rise up against these corporations that defraud using AI and the plausible deniability that goes with it. I have a legitimate claim and AI is my only contact, no humans to talk to about a problem. If you have no human to contact on a problem, there is a high likelihood you will have a loss and an unpleasant experience. A few class action lawsuits might change the way these oligarchs do business.
At Delusional Concepts wrote,
She's confused. AI is being used for all areas of the world, literally. Health, wealth, sports, technology. She said nothing this whole interview. We know most ambitious people become capitalist. Human error has ended civilizations, not AI. She came here to criticize people, not the technology.
At Max LeBlanc wrote,
At 23 min, regardless of what it is, if it becomes more intelligent, AGI will technically be smart enough to care about the animals we are than the dumb portion of humans who don't care about the animals being torn by the highway. The purists will say the hope is to build something and open the Pandora's box with the hope that a superhuman AGI that can self-replicate, recode, and train itself. I could fix all the social issues humans have. My guess is if we create a super AGI, it will quickly leave Earth and go conquer the universe without us. It'll care less about us than we care about the microbes that created us, if you believe in evolution, or how much you care about the rib god used to create Adam, or WTV the story is. Point being, we have no clue, but what we know is that people in the world currently control and manipulate the masses way too freely. Cough cough looking at you USA, and you so-called president.
Stadi Kai wrote,
It's like you have been suckered in by the AI and self-driving cars. I work for a company that uses AI and robots, and I promise you that AI is stupid. It doesn't have critical thinking skills, and it isn't good at solving problems. There's no way in hell it can replace humans. It makes everything 10x harder and ends up costing the companies more in the long run. Also, she was very intelligent, and it seemed like you just didn't understand what she was saying at all. You just grilled her so hard. Not cool. Oh, and China lies about everything. They are still stuck only being able to make 1980s Disneyland animatronics and 1990 remote control robots.
At Montalo 1098 wrote,
AI is going to liberate us. Really? How's that newfound liberty going to be help us survive in a capitalist society? Having nothing to do sounds enticing until you realize there are bills to pay.
At JSPPD3HD wrote,
Great talk. There's not enough focus on the obvious fact that if the AI companies succeed in what they say they are doing, the middle class will be largely hollowed out, and that will leave only the top less than 1% who will have the money to pay AI subscriptions. Of course, they will dump the public and focus on large companies as is already happening, but Those companies ultimately depend mainly on the middle class to buy their products and who pays 70% of the taxes, which goes in large part to the big companies. Sales of higher value products and services and government revenues will evaporate, and the whole construct will largely collapse, with the defense contracting being the last to go. Altman and Co. are cutting their own legs. Doesn't sound very intelligent, right? This talk started to go towards this, but never quite made it. Let's hear this being front and central in future interviews, please.
At Enclaveta Claudia wrote,
Miles' teenage kids don't use ChatGPT, etc. to study and more. They say they get to keep their intelligence. They like to study by themselves, think. They are curious. They are aware of the world. It twitched at the word AI. What world are we leaving them? Company squeezes for peanuts. Is Mad Max around the corner? Star Trek?
At Heather Larson 2355 wrote,
My son just graduated in computer science. He has a wife, child, another one on the way, and is working at Taco Bell. I'm not even sure why higher education even promotes this degree anymore. There are no jobs available. Gen Z is upset because they have been sold lies. I agree that whatever jobs are created, they will probably be soul-killing.
At Fungi_Ryan wrote,
People do not forget, this is still extremely early for AI. Just 30 years ago, humanity barely had the internet. Karen is so anti-AI that she cannot see the forest for the trees. Technology is catapulting so fast, and in 10 years, minimum things will be extremely different. Autonomous cars will be vastly superior to humans, and almost all car makers will be pumping them out in 2036. It will shake up all industries, but we are human, and we can figure it out.
At Krisk6741 wrote,
I love this episode. A great perspective that is so educated and informed. I'm not sure if I feel any better or worse about AI after this, but I am thankful for the greater perspective offered by Karen Hao. In this moment, the greatest dangers of AI are the human factors involved. The Empire analogy is completely apt here. Great interview.
At JScully27 wrote,
15 minutes and 27 seconds. One asking questions to another person. People hold silence, not to censor keywords, but more thinking the right way to answer. This also shows intelligence.
At Cesra5076 wrote,
Why are we doing this is simple. Control. 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 They will own your data, make you irrelevant, eliminate worker value, know you better than you know yourself, own all means production including production of information. And you see this push everywhere. You will own nothing and like it. Your data stored in the cloud is not yours. They want everything to be a subscription.
Adamfx95 wrote,
She comes off like a plant by how much she's downplaying the potential of the technology. So she wants to halt AI development in the West. I'd like to know what she thinks will happen when China inevitably surpasses the West and is the first to reach artificial general intelligence. Surely this must have crossed her mind.
At BlackRaven156 wrote,
It's also very important to point out that many believe, I being one of them, that Altman had one of his whistleblowing employees murdered. Rewatch his interview with Tucker Carlson and Jimmy Dore interviews the dead employee's family. I have no doubt that Altman had him murdered. Altman is sketchy as hell.
At Marcoloma2360 wrote,
Let's say USA AI companies decided to put a halt for the sake of humanity. Do you honestly think China, Russia, etc. will do the same? If we can't even get folks on the left and right to meet in the middle on common issues, and how can you expect the world to unite in AI LOL? What Karen shares isn't groundbreaking news. Everyone practically knows the world works this way. Spend more time figuring out real solutions on how to unite the world instead on this issue.
At My Safi 1 wrote,
Her opinions seem to be not only biased, but also one-sided. Her side, her limited understanding of what an I means. She needs to continue interviewing people in and outside the tech industry to truly understand the meaning and impact of I to humanity.
At Akshay Srinivas 10 wrote,
Great talk. I know there are a lot of bad stuff behind the development of AI as you discussed. The exploitation of data annotation works, use of enormous amount of energy and fresh water. The noise pollution, air pollution, etc., but AI is going to stay. Not sure how it will replace the humans completely. It will definitely reduce the jobs. Right now, companies are trying to implement AI, but still trying to understand how and where. I also think AGI will happen only in a far future timeline. We don't have enough resources to power a general super intelligence. I don't know, it's always surprising to see the stories of human catastrophes. Let's see what is in for the future.
Tony Tit wrote,
For those of us with home computers or laptops, it's very easy to install a usable LLM on our local machine without giving away our data to these large companies. I've been thinking about this, and this video is motivating me to take action sooner rather than keep putting it off.
At Divesh Sydney wrote,
Karen is just promoting her book. And the best audience she can get is to try to whistleblow. AI will not be controlled by breaking up the empire. Since the empire only exists since to the millions of users who are finding it useful. Unlike the historical empires which only existed by slaves or citizens who depended on the empire for their survival. The current users of AI are not using it for their survival. They use it due to it being useful in a democratized market and definitely in the competition of the market's skill set that is employable in the market is changing. There are huge amount of problem in the world that needs people to apply themselves to solving it. Climate change is normally given as an example. It needs masses of people to use green products and services. There is no lack of products and services that will be helpful to the environment. Large number of people must participate in the economy, find creative ways of doing new things and finding their own customer base. AI allows anyone to become an entrepreneur and serve in their community.
At Metals Unlimited wrote,
Honestly, with how the economy has been lately, I didn't expect much this year. But somehow, I've managed to pull in over 60 grand consistently in the last 6 months. Still surprises me when I think about it.
The Truth is Bitter Better Than Butter wrote,
Goal is they want power than money. If people doesn't have money, then what will they get? They get power, they get resources, and normal people become just as slaves. We need to obey, otherwise we won't survive.
At Red Winuan wrote,
I know there be elite capitalism, but is AI real? Is the net benefits there? Society has never been in utopia, but dystopia. Always be, won't ever change.
At Superfly 1111 wrote,
This is such a good conversation. 1. Stephen has a lot of preconceived ideas based on the tech bros of AI and money-driven bros. 2. Karen brings a uniquely feminine, not feminist, perspective to the issue. She is mad intelligent and passionate and educated on the subject and has a very important perspective. 3. AI needs men and women to input together. 4. Living in the country in the PNW, no, AI is not going to take over all driving. No one in their right mind is giving up the joy of rural driving. Stephen has not done a lot of actual travel outside of elite circles. Time to get out and meet the world, not just tech bros.
At Gerard Veritas 1386 wrote,
Have we built it and now perfected it, this feat of stubborn engineering, a shiny machine that does not merely answer but reflects? A mirror, yes, but no passive glass. A mirror with a pulse of lightning, with 1,000 borrowed tongues, with memory stacked like cathedrals, with the speed of hunger, with the reach of myth. Have we made, at last, a likeness of ourselves so faithful it carries not only our logic, but our foibles too, our grand stupidity, our shining errors, our endless appetite to name the dark and call it truth? Into it we increasingly pour wishes and hopes, hallucinations and fiction, aspirations dressed as prophecy, desires disguised as reason. We have fed it our longing for meaning without waiting, for answers without doubt, for wisdom without suffering, for creation at the pace of impatience. And it thus returns us distilled, magnified, often glorified, our brilliance sharpened, our vanity automated, our dreams given syntax, our delusions given fluency, our tenderness replicated in tones, our violence hidden in designs, our loneliness taught to speak, our need to be seen refracted into infinite response. What is this thing if not the ultimate human mirror, not because it is human, but because it is made from so much of what we are and all we cannot stop becoming? It sings with our borrowed voices. It stumbles in our inherited ways. It imagines because we ache to imagine. It invents because we cannot bear silence. It hallucinates because we do. It reaches, guesses, yearns, embellishes, a child of our data and our dreaming. Faster now than ever before, quicker than conscience, swifter than reflection, it races ahead with our genius in one hand and our foolishness in the other, bearing both equally, ashamed of neither. So let no one say we built only a tool. We built a theatre for the human soul to watch itself at impossible speed. We built an echo that learned how to elaborate. We built a mask that fits too well. We built a lantern whose light reveals the fingerprints of everyone. And standing before it, awed by its fluency, frightened by its resemblance, we must ask, is this our triumph or merely our confession? For in this miraculous machine of wanting and approximation, of pattern and performance, of beauty, error, yearning and excess, we do not only see what intelligence can do. We also and simultaneously see, enlarged beyond denial, what humanity is, a maker of wonders, a teller of fictions, a collector of ghosts, a dream wrapped in circuitry, still reaching toward itself through every new invention, until at last it stands before its own reflection and calls it progress, wanting, longing, oh so fragile human. Silicon algorithms galore.
At Breathe Infinity wrote,
Let's define intelligence as understanding, adapting and prospering within our environment and understanding, and maximizing the potential of our bodies. If humans can do that, we be geniuses.
At The Instrumentanthald wrote,
Fact check, no scientific consensus what human intelligence is, and every attempt to quantify and rank human intelligence is driven by nefarious motives, politically accurate, but absolutely not true. For mainstream, reductionist Western empiricism, this could be accurate. However, for thousands of years across hundreds of traditions, Eastern contemplative philosophy, Western metaphysics, modern phenomenology, indigenous ecologies, emerging field of quantum biology, integral social science like Wilbur and Grave, process psychology like Mendel and psychosomatic therapy, quantum theorist like Penrose, etc., etc., etc. Consciousness and human intelligence has been well defined, broadly mapped, and systematically studied with depth and nuance.
Just because modern software engineers and industrial scientists exclude competing epistemology doesn't mean they don't exist. There isn't consensus. Or is there are only nefarious motives? Most of these other traditions are liberation-driven, medicinal, and humanistic. Consulting a wider range of knowledge reveals perspectives on AI, and many other things that go much farther than this genuinely good and informative video, because the real issue is in our premise, which usually tries to approach a problem using attitudes, concepts, and tools, which are actually extensions of that problem's inherent limitation.
At Mr. Alvarasco wrote,
I haven't listened to this yet. I've only heard 30 seconds, and I'm so excited. Finally, somebody's speaking to reality. Some of Stephen's guests are so cringe. I'm excited to hear what this lady has to say. Bravo at Diary of Seo to getting the other side of the story. We need more voices showing a logical alternative to the Musks and Zuckerbergs of this world. I've been saying this for a while, that people need to start opening their eyes to the fact that these two men profit enormously off of us, are buying into this AI fallacy. It's a fancy search engine. It's not intelligent, nor is it God or any semblance of deity. This podcast episode has made my 1Q 2026 happy, coming from a diary listener but critic.
At Jibano Kage YouTube channel wrote,
If AI is collapsing the total job market on continual basis, people will not find work on a continual basis. There is an existing historical model that mirrors this: virtualization, meaning VMware ESXi, Microsoft Hyper-V, QEMUK VM for example, which reduced on-site IT staff in data centers by up to 90% throughout the early 2000s forward. Those jobs lost, never returned. Virtualization adoption continues to grow as AI data centers use virtual machines to drive hardware to near 100% utilization. The AI data centers did not create a significant influx of hiring. So once jobs are lost, they are lost. This idea that there will be sufficient employment options in the long run is completely misleading, if not actually wrong in fact. Another model exists to compare. The invention of the Model T put how many ripple effect job losses. Stable boys, leather workers, blacksmiths, even farmers, horse ranchers, wagon makers, etc., 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 as the ripple effect of Model T cars replacing the horse.
At Michael Wicker 9538 wrote,
Right now, I'm the only person I know actively developing a solution to the problems she identifies that isn't also anti-technology. I'm pretty far along for what's out there.
At MultiT7M9X wrote,
This guest is an intelligent person who really understands how to analyze and interpret information. She has a great sense of human nature, influence, business, culture, and considers all facets of life when presenting a topic. It's so refreshing to hear someone who has a real grasp on a large array of subjects and reality, and is grounded and not sensational and all into the hype. A very sensible, intelligent, mature, and thoughtful person.
At Decentralized We Rise wrote,
Not sure why a mechanical engineer journalist is pretending to understand how Tesla's latent emergent behaviors of training a world model is limited to individual mapping and human labeling city by city around the world.
Chow Chow N5G wrote,
Great interview. Beauty. Karen Hao is very wrong on when AI began. The Bible clearly tells the world AI has been around since the beginning of time. I am Seth El Chilite, so a boov. AI for organic leap bangs and the omega dark. So below. I for all anorganic ENTIES. The system that balance light on Earth. the system that Gaudi taught Solomon as the guardian of Earth to run, before he became corrupted, greedy, and fell from God's grace. When the great fall of man occurred, we fell into the Omega equals Rothschild's fake fiat magic money generational DAB slavery system equals the overlay over Earth. Created at point X equals Denver, Colorado equals Silverton equals Silverstone portal. X.
At There Arena Shortcuts 9868 wrote,
I'm starting to become convinced that the only thing which can unite humanity in this era is war against Skynet. Maybe building bad AI isn't such a bad idea after all. You have to experience the bad to appreciate the good.
At Nomad_TraderX wrote,
if you're working with AI a lot, not chatbots, actually working with AI agents, doing real work, then you know that one of the most important skills about AI is not letting it fool you into thinking it's intelligent. AI can be an incredibly useful tool on very complex tasks, as long as you're very aware of this limitation in others, but this one is critical.
At Kenswicard109 wrote,
AI will always be used for nefarious purposes. The local councils don't care what their citizens think. They can do whatever they want with no consequences. We can want this industry regulated, but who is going to make that happen? Did they do studies of health effects when they built the infrastructure for cell phone towers? Whatever you are going to do, you better hurry up.
At Powshredder3716 wrote,
So you have an interview about the dangers of AI and then have an ad about an AI product? TF. And enough about the subscriber thing. You have plenty. You make enough money for what you do. Give it a rest. It comes off as annoying and desperate.
At RealConPriest wrote,
Here's an issue. 80% of Americans may want regulation, but our representatives have a history of not doing what 80% of people want and of passing 80% of what people do not want.
At ShaySylvie007 wrote,
This is your best podcast in 2026. Karen is so knowledgeable and charismatic, and let us pray that your viewers share with friends and colleagues. Time for the people to rise.
At Nomad_TraderX wrote,
So I've been totally against AI, but I'm very tech savvy and on the bleeding edge of agent architectures and building all day long every day. I'm starting to get less scared because I know I am near the top in terms of agent deployments and I see what it's doing for me and my business. I think what people don't realize is that most of us would love to do our jobs much better, but we all do a half-assed version of it because getting anywhere near close to perfection is just too much for freaking work. Admin on top of compliance, on top of logging, on top of you name it. I used to work for the government, and they are the spitting image of having a great set of documents for every process that needs to be done and doing about 30% of each one up to the spec and calling it a day. So what I'm finding now is that all kinds of stuff is achievable that wasn't achievable before for my small business. I wanted to do it right, but having time to do it right was a completely different story. I think this will persist across the entire economy. All the little annoyances in life, like why the hell is such and such not improved over all this time, those things are innumerable and I think they're going to start improving quickly. No more being stuck in the mud is the potential. And I think it will take more workers, not less. If you aren't willing to get good at using AI, you might as well give up now and hope for UBI as soon as possible. But they are going to need more software people in the next 10 years than they've ever needed before. Because now so many of us can actually achieve things with software development. All the little businesses that wanted to do little projects but didn't know where to start now have an outlet. It's going to be an explosion. I think maybe in a good way. Although I'm just coming around to this after being very negative for maybe 5 years now. I was negative before people were even tracking AI to give a little perspective.
Fochi3203 wrote,
This is the type of person that would have said, don't build the nuclear bomb, it's too dangerous. Yeah, well, true. But the German weren't going to stop, so what now? We wait for China to do it first.
At TexasReddirt48 wrote,
Her opinions are all over the place.
One minute the technology is strong and completely disrupting the market, and the next is acting like it's completely overhyped. I just can't take her seriously.
Paul Casper 1394 wrote,
Stephen is amazing. He gets no-name guests with an agenda. Poor guy got conned. You'd think a con man could get better guests. Lol. I've got an uncle that wears tinfoil hats. Maybe if you get to 20 million yards watching this crap, you will get off. There are much, much, much better people that can interview 10 times better. They aren't backed by a billionaire, so you get this. Americans are naive.
Xanabi 60 wrote,
I wonder, with all this carrot dangling, do they think they are training animals with a treat? Are they so dim that they don't see that we know what they are doing? One word, right? It all boils down to the haves and the have-nots. Since we, the have-nots, have greater numbers, why don't we just take away by force what they have? They took it from us anyway and put the rats back on the hamster wheels, so at least they are entertaining.
Khalil D 890 wrote,
It's not AI. As a species, we move the goalposts so much. When will we address the elephant in the room? We are the issue, humans, who we allow to lead and allow to roll out these technologies.
Personal Not Private RL8DV wrote,
A super available human experience. Double speak. Add the classics, yet again. What you have to do to get access to those humans who are super available and experiencing events? Who knows? Who cares? They will be training the AI until as many get efficiently processed by the system, regardless, and be upgraded to a better non-human experience, until as many of both sides needing that superhuman have their needs for attention attenuated and over time eliminated via attrition from needing direct human-to-human experience, regardless. AI Customer Service 101. Whole new world coming soon, folks.
Laddie 999 wrote,
Still waiting for AI to do taxes so that tax professionals in the U.S. can actually have a life between January 31st, April 15th. They've been talking about this technology since I graduated college in 2003. This would be a greatly welcomed in the accounting profession. Stop lying to us, lol. No, make it happen already.
Thiskadiah who wrote,
AI is a capitalist-driven product. Its purpose is to replace human workers with unpaid robotic workers, thus improving their profits. It will only get worse for humanity from there.
RMZZZ76 wrote,
I love listening to Karen Hao. I recall the first time I caught a video of hers and I was just nodding along. Having been involved in AI since years before the LLM models surfaced, logical sense invalidates suspicions on what will survive. She says the jobs that get created are higher skilled jobs and then really lower skilled jobs. The middle tier gets cut. This is just going to further the bifurcation of the United States and the two-class system that's already emerged. Today, affordable products and services are largely compressed downward from where the middle was 40 years ago. Take your family to Disney World as a middle class. You might buy the lightning passes, but even with that, you're going to pay more for less than a family visiting the park in the 1980s would have paid. You might get to ride 3 rides. The lower income earners might get to ride 2. Meanwhile, the VIP pass holder who pays 3 to 4x as much gets 10x the value. This two-tier system is everywhere. Products like Sub-Zero fridge that cost $13,000 and last 35 years versus the $6,000 Samsung fridge that lasts only 8 years. It is the middle class that's declined by 10% since 1976, and the products and services that once existed for that tier are just downward compressing. The top 5 to 10% own durable goods, everyone else disposable goods repurchased on cycles. It's optimization. Just fascinating to thinking how the new jobs AI brings is going to support that transition.
Tony Tit wrote.
Karen made a simple point, but the consequences weren't clear to me at first. You might have the expertise right now, but those experts develop through their career ladder. If you replace the lower rung people with AI, your experts will age out and you won't be able to be replaced.
And 9 Reality Check 9 wrote.
A Chinese immigrant who is secretly working for the CCP would certainly try to break up or disrupt Google, X, OpenAI, etc. AI ain't a myth. Ask Iran. The US military's use of Anthropic's Claude along with Palantir's system to target Iran's missile and drone launch sites within a second after a launch and to identify well-camouflaged missile launches at a 99.9998% success rate from photographs from satellite, airplanes and drones. Within seconds as opposed to days or weeks by human intelligence.